Good evening, I'm Ces Oreña-Drilon.
I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Shawn Yao.
The big stories tonight. The Supreme Court has rejected Senator Bato Dela Rosa's petition to keep his ICC warrant at bay. Question is, will the Marcos administration now move to surrender the former Duterte PNP chief to The Hague?
And aside from one of their own's impending arrests, senators are also dealing with a shooting incident. More CCTV footage of what really happened on the night of May 13 hold clues and revelations.
And then there's the Duterte impeachment case, likewise now in the Senate's court. Vice President Sara Duterte's team has received the upper chamber summons and is preparing its reply.
Ano pa kailangan sabihin ko doon? Nakita nyo na. Hindi naman AI yun, di ba? Nakuha nyo na yung gusto ninyo, napanood nyo na. Palagay ko naman siguro matatahimik na kayo. Lahat ng tinatanong nyo, naganap na yung investigasyon.
Alam natin ang tama at mali matapos ang habulan at barilan dito sa Senado. Ang ipinapakita natin ay para bang walang nangyari.
Para sabihin nyo na walang nangyari. Napakasakit para sa aming lahat na nandito. And I didn't even hear any of you say, kamusta na kayo dyan?
The Supreme Court has denied the request of Senator Bato Dela Rosa for relief from his ICC warrant of arrest. But the High Tribunal was quick to say this is not a final ruling on the main legal elements of the case. The ruling leaves a few important questions. What cues is the Marcos administration taking from the SC decision? And can De La Rosa now be arrested? Mobile journalist Arles de los Santos has tonight's big story.
The Supreme Court on Wednesday denied Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa's plea for a temporary restraining order on the warrant for his arrest issued by the International Criminal Court. De la Rosa, who was the national police chief during the Duterte administration's bloody war on drugs, sought for a TRO to prevent the government from surrendering him to The Hague. That's through any warrant from the ICC or red notice from the International Criminal Police Organization or the Interpol. De La Rosa's lawyers has since insisted that any arrest warrant must come from a local court. The senator's camp, however, failed to convince magistrates. The High Tribunal's vote showed 9 in favor, 5 against, and 1 abstention to Bato's petition for relief. The SC said the full resolution and the opinions on this recent ruling will be uploaded on the court's website on Monday, May 25. The High Court, however, clarified that it only decided on the prayers for a TRO. The other pleadings and motions on De La Rosa's case are yet to be resolved. That includes a petition filed by De La Rosa and Digong Duterte in March 2025 questioning the legal basis of the Marcos administration's cooperation with the ICC to surrender the former president to the International Court. The main argument, the Philippines had not been a member of the Rome Statute since 2019 of March, and therefore the ICC has no jurisdiction to probe and try any case over the Duterte drug war. For the decision to deny Senator De La Rosa's TRO, the question that naturally follows is, can Bato be arrested now? Will the government take this TRO denial as a cue to capture the former PNP chief? Or will it wait for all issues to be resolved before making a move? As of today, De La Rosa remains hiding. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the Department of Justice is the designated agency to respond to such queries.
Sa ngayon, masasabi po natin na ang warrant of arrest ay valid laban dito kay Senator Bato de la Rosa. At ang lahat ng maaaring interpretasyon at evaluation na sabing resolution ng Supreme Court ay ibabato po natin kay Secretary Frederick Bida.
But when presented, if they will enforce Republic Act 9851, which allows the state to surrender suspects to international court, Castro said,
Yan din po ang pananaw ng OSG na siya po ay kinukonsidera na fugitive. Since wala pong TRO, tayo po ay nagsasabi na ang warrant of arrest ay valid.
On the Big Story Tuesday night, DOJ spokesperson Polo Martinez said the agency is standing down on efforts to arrest De La Rosa pending the Supreme Court's final decision on his case. The National Bureau of Investigation for its part says though they are ready to arrest Dela Rosa, there's still no official order for it.
Of course, the NBI will have to study muna and see the resolution. Kasi unang-una, maraming diniscuss doon eh. Pero ang diniscuss lang muna doon yung prayer for interim relief. Diba? All other issues, hindi pa doon na-discuss. What we can guarantee to you is that patuloy naman po na nangangalap ng information ng NBI through the directive of our director para po in the event that we will be dispatched eventually to serve the warrant at hanapin si Senator Bato, alam naman po natin kung anong gagawin.
Lawyers of Senator Bato said they will file a motion for reconsideration on the SC's denial. In its statement, attorney Israeli Totorion's law firm said that while it respects the High Court's decision, the tribunal's ruling only covered the request for interim relief and did not resolve the main constitutional issue raised in the case. The firm also maintained that the main case remains alive and vowed to pursue and exhaust all available legal remedies available to them. Kapatid Arles de Los Santos, we are One News.
Senator Bato Dela Rosa again skipped today's plenary, which had a very interesting turn of events earlier. And telling us about it is our mobile journo, Merimon Reyes. Merimon, usap-usapan yung naging iyakan kanina dyan sa plenary. Ano ba nangyari?
Ladies, good evening. Sa session kasi kanina dito sa Senado, unang nagbigay ng manifestation on the floor si Senator Erwin Tulfo at he was calling for a more a deeper and an independent investigation sa naging shootout incident last week kung saan may exchange ng pitik ng baril. A warning shot was done by the Office of the Sergeant at Arms, si Major General Mau Aplasca, na sinagot daw ng NBI agents. And ang sinasabi nila dito, days ever since nangyari yon, may confusion pa rin sa ano ba talaga ang nangyari. What triggered it, what happened, ano yung nag-transpire, and moving forward, ano ang gagawin. Especially, some are calling for accountability kung sakaling may lapses nga on this case. Sinagundahan nito ni Senator Raffy Tulfo na ang isinusulong naman ay comprehensive training para sa personnel ng OSA o yung Office of the Sergeant at Arms. And while may manifestation, may nakaschedule din kasi sa agenda na privileged speech by Senator Risa Hontiveros, also tackling the same query or question in mind. Ang sinasabi kasi ni Senator Risa Hontiveros, natapos na ngayon nangyari na yon, pero sa araw daw na ito sa kasulukuyan, hindi raw pwedeng gumalaw ang upper chamber na para bang walang nangyari. Yung positioning daw ng institution na ito amid the ongoing confusion, yung questions daw, ano ba talaga yung nangyari. Iba kasi yung lumalabas ng mga narratives so on how it happened, compared din daw sa paano siya na-document. Ang dami pang hindi raw malinaw dito. And this may have happened to trigger an emotional Senator Pia Cayetano who recalled what happened during those weeks na silang mga members ng Senate majority ay nandito sa Senado during those times. Let's listen into a part of this session earlier.
That is why we cannot act as though nothing happened last week. Alam natin ang tama at mali. Alam natin kapag sumosobra na. Matapos ang habulan at barilan dito sa Senado, ang ipinapakita natin ay para bang walang nangyari.
Siguro po para sa inyong mga wala dito. Pero para sa amin na nandito, napakaraming nangyari. Takot na takot po ako na kailangan ko na magpaalam sa mga anak ko. At yung staff ko, 2 pintuan ang pagitan ko sa putukan. Yung staff ko na si Claire, na 20 years na sa akin, nandun siya sa labas. Siya sa 12-year-old son. Kinuwento niya sa akin late na tumatakbo siya, hindi niya alam kung saan siya pupunta. Kaya para sabihin niyo na walang nangyari. Napakasakit para sa aming lahat na nandito. And I didn't even hear any of you say, kumusta na kayo dyan?
I was not speaking about our personal feelings. I was speaking about our institutional posture.
Thank you for that.
Our grief as senators is valid, but our mandate requires action.
Later on, after nung naging exchange among these senators, we also saw Senate President Pro Tempore Loren Legarda comforting Senator Pia, offering her tissue or napkin, and even Senator Loren Legarda was seen wiping her eyes. Maybe tears were also falling down, and quite a heavy aura or environment during those times sa session. Meanwhile, Senator Tito Soto from the minority also took to the floor yung question, should a committee as a whole for the Senate should it be organized to do the legislative inquiry sa nagyaring shootout last week? Or should there be just one specific committee na existing na rin naman na maghahawak nito? An interpellation was hoped by Senator Rodante Marcoleta pero napagkasunduan din ng mga senador to do it potentially by Monday sa session next week dahil daw kailangan din ito ng oras. At kung sakaling mangyari ngayon, maraming senador ang gustong pumila for questions and answers or clarifications, baka raw abutin ng hating gabi. So doon pa lang natapos yung usapin tungkol dyan, but we're anticipating more coming in ng session nila next week. Ladies.
Mary Mon, updates on the chairmanships na announced ba today, particularly the Blue Ribbon Committee?
Yes, kahapon ang nasabi ni Senate President Alan Peter Cayetano, actually no Monday pa lang, may mga lumulutang na pangalan, either Senator Rodante Marcoleta or Senator Pia Cayetano. Pero kanina, it was formally elected na Senator Pia ang hahawak ng Blue Ribbon Committee or yung Accountability Committee ng Senado. Ang huling humawak niyan si Senator Ping Lacson from the minority, but this time, Senator Pia na ang hahawak ng Blue Ribbon. For Senator Amy Marcos, nakuha niya rin ulit yung Committee on Foreign Relations. Senator Camille Villar, nakuha niya ang Environment Committee, ang Government Corporations Committee. Senator Robin Hood Padilla, nadagdagan pa siya ng Constitutional Amendments Committee na ang unang humawak niya or last na humawak niyan was Senator Kiko Pangilinan. And Senator Rodante Marcoleta, nasa kanya na rin ang Justice and Human Rights Committee and intern siya na rin ang magiging representative ng Senado sa Judicial and Bar Council. So ang ilan pa sa hinihintay natin na matitimbang na mga komite would be the Finance Committee, potentially yung iba pang mga may nakabinbin or may mga pending pang legislations or legislative inquiries such as pwede Ethics Committee, Agriculture Committee, and the likes.
Okay, Mary Mon, gusto ko lang matanong sa'yo no, kung anong naramdaman mo kanina, yung mga observations mo. Of course, we watched the plenary. After kasi nung heated speech at balikan no, between Senators Risa and Pia, medyo nag-thin out yung attendance. Maraming nawala sa upuan at hindi na bumalik. Did you notice kung nag-uusap ba sila? Were they friendly? Or was it really, really tense even off-cam?
Shawn, after kasi nito, dahil nga deferred muna siya for further discussions, may caucus din na ginawa kanina lahat ng mga senador, all-member caucus ito. Pero nung sa session, nagkaroon kasi ng photo opportunity itong mga senador kasama ilang mga atletang kinilala din on the floor. And nakita natin si Senator Risa Ontiveros at si Senator Pia Cayetano nagkatabi sa photo op. And ang nasabi so far ni Senator Risa tungkol dyan, hindi daw sila nagkausap pero okay naman daw. So far, ang nakikita niya sa relasyon nila. And during that emotional moment din, though tahimik yung session floor, nakita natin may pag-uusap yung ilang mga senador. Yung majority kasi facing the rostrum, nasa right side nakaupo sina Senator Risa. Sina Senator Pia, yung majority, nasa left side facing the rostrum. And ang nakita natin lumapit kay Senator Pia, si Senator Lori Legarda, nakatabi niya lang, Senator Camille Villar, Senator Mark Villar, and even si acting majority leader, Senator Joel Villanueva, para kung nakikipag-usap sa ilang mga senador. Pero later on, yun nga, medyo nag-thin out siya. Pero what we also anticipated was after nung session, may caucus na ginawa itong mga senador. So we're yet to know then kung ano yung results, if there was a walkout. Pero if not, pwede naman kasi silang umalis din ng session. So we'll see pa kung ano yung mangyayari and what will transpire sa relasyon nitong mga senador sa isa't isa.
So to clarify lang, Mary Mon, ongoing pa rin yung all-member caucus. Ang tanong, nandun ba, obviously wala si Senator Bato, pero nandun ba si Senator Cheese? Dumating ba siya for that?
Yesterday and today, hindi natin nakita si Senator Cheese Escudero. And to note, bakit natin din siya tinitingnan? Kasi lumulutang din yung pangalan niya na supposedly being tapped for the Senate leadership. And while wala pa tayong confirmation again, yung kudeta kasi na umuugong over the weekend, even nung Monday, kahapon, and kanina, hindi pa ito nangyayari. But still, ang sinasabi ng liderato ng ilang mga miyembro ng Senate majority, meron daw pressures, meron daw offers ng incentives, if not threats, may term extensions para lang maglipat bakod itong mga ilang miyembro ng Senate majority. Pero sa paglilinaw at pagtatanggi ni Senator Raffy Tulfo from the minority, hindi raw ito totoo, wala raw ganung ginagawa. Masaya raw sila sa minority, solid daw sila sa minority, and come what may, mananatili sa minority si Senator Raffy. So, on the other side of the fence, again, manipis lang yung margin nila. So kung sakali mo magkaroon ng kudeta, ang aabangan natin, sino ang lilipat from the majority who will be forming the new majority. And should there be conditions to be met, ano yung mga kondisyon na yon para naglipat bakod ang mga ito?
And Mary Mon, naglabas na rin ba ang Senado ng updated impeachment trial schedule doon sa trial nga ni Vice President Sara Duterte?
Hindi pa malinaw. Wala pa tayong kasagutan tungkol dyan. Ang sinabi pa lang kasi kanina ni SP Cayetano sa floor, okay, formally na-receive na nga ng camp ni Vice President Sara Duterte yung writ of summons kanina around nearly 11 o'clock in the morning. So nagbibilang na ngayon nung non-extendable period, calendar days ito na 10 araw, while magfo-fall kasi ang ang May 30 ng Saturday, nausog siya ng June 1, which is a Monday, so working day siya. So the camp of VP Sara has until then to file her reply and yung response niya doon sa articles of impeachment against her and yung mag-enter ng plead niya. After noon or during those 10 days, kung sakaling mapaaga, ang House prosecutors naman meron ng extendable period of 5 days para mag-file din ng kanilang response. And what we're waiting ngayon from the Senate leadership is yung magiging schedule nila. Kasi ang sinabi dito ni SP Cayetano, who will be acting as presiding officer of the trial, dalawang sombrero kasi ang suot ng Senado bilang impeachment court at bilang legislative body. So kung magkakaschedule man sila, ito yung pinakamaayos sa schedule na hindi maaapektuhan yung trabaho nila on the legislative aspect. But then again, we're yet to hear pa kung ano yung magiging final na decision ng mga senador sa schedule na pre-trial at saka trial proper.
And on the part of the senators, Mary Mon, how are they preparing for the impeachment trial?
Ako, ang nakausap natin, yung pinakahuling nakuha nating info dyan was from the old majority. So, sina Senator Tito Soto, Senator Ping Lacson, and others na sinadjust daw nilang gawin, nagbo-brush up, nagre-review ng rules of court, yung impeachment, yung guidelines na kinakailangan. Whereas, nung panahon naman na yun, ang nakausap natin from the old minority, si Senator Dante Marcoleta, hindi naman daw siya nagpe-prepare kung may mangyari o kung may darating daw yan. For now, wala pa tayong ibang naririnig kasi ang isang inonote din natin dito, netong Monday, formally and officially nakapag-convene na ang Senate as the impeachment court. So, maaaring magkaroon na ng limitasyon itong mga senador na magsalita tungkol sa impeachment proceedings. Same goes din sa mga tatayong House prosecutors. So what we are waiting for is who will be delegated as the impeachment court spokesperson. Kung saan doon natin pwedeng malaman yung iba pang nitty-gritties tungkol sa magiging proceedings.
All right, as always, we appreciate your reporting. Thank you, mobile journalist Mary Mon Reyes. Now, the Senate has been in the spotlight since last week. Let's discuss all that and what's been happening there with a former Senate President and Justice Secretary as well. Joining us tonight is Frank Drilon. Good evening, Senator. Welcome to the Big Story.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me tonight. Exciting times.
Senator, what can the Senate do to redeem its reputation?
I don't know. Just do what is right. And right now, the prestige of the Senate is all kaput. I have never seen a Senate where, which people at this point cannot look up to as an example of public service. And it is really sad. I was in the Senate for 24 years. Never did I witness such situation. The instability of the institution, and it's not good for our system of government.
For instance, the report of the DILG on the shootout showed that there was no attack at the Senate. After 6 days, they gave their findings. However, the public had already made its judgment early on that there really was none. And the Senate majority has not acknowledged anything of that sort. Would that somehow help redeem their image?
Only, I don't know if that will do it, but certainly that incident of a shootout allegedly, is something that has put the Senate at its lowest ebb of respect insofar as the population is concerned.
And today, tears were shed when there was an emotional exchange between Senator Risa Ontiveros and Senator Pia Cayetano. So they're coming from opposite points of view here.
So, yes, so what's the question, sis?
How can that be resolved when the lines are seem to be drawn?
Well, I don't know. I have no magic solution to that.
If you were, you know, the Senate president, and you've
Luckily, I am not the Senate president.
Good answer.
okay, let's now go to the issue of Senator Bato Dela Rosa. The government, the national government, is not very clear about how that warrant from the ICC should be served. At first, it was unclear. There were two different positions from the DILG and the DOJ. Could this have been also one reason why they weren't able to actually serve this warrant and that Bato has now gone missing? What can you say about the government's, resolve to serve this warrant?
They are lost. Malacanang is lost as to what to do. Firstly, the so-called protective custody, to me, is a funny situation. There is no law giving the Senate the power to provide protective custody to anyone, except that in the case of the Witness Protection Program, the Senate committee can provide protection to the witnesses who would appear before the Senate investigation. But to provide Senator Dela Rosa with the protective custody, I raised the question, you are protecting Senator Dela Rosa from what? Isn't that funny? You are providing Senator Dela Rosa with protective custody. You are protecting him from what? In the first place, there is no such thing as a protective custody insofar as that power is concerned on the part of the Senate.
That protective custody, can they be in the end, can some of the senators be held accountable for giving that protective custody because now Senator Bato is missing, has left this protective custody?
No, the fact that the senator may have voted to provide protective custody, he or she does not incur any liability. Probably as a political issue, the senator would have to answer to his or her constituents, but the senator would have no liability. But having said that, it is very significant that the Supreme Court refused to issue a TRO to prevent the service of the warrant of the International Criminal Court on Senator Bato. It only means that on the surface, the Supreme Court has recognized, at least on its surface, the right of the executive department to serve the ICC warrant on Senator Dela Rosa. That's very significant, and that would validate or provide legal basis for the executive to look for Senator Bato and serve the warrant of the International Court of Justice.
What is your legal opinion? Can it be served or not? Because on the other hand, you have the party of Senator Bato saying a local court must be the one to issue the warrant.
Well, the warrant is issued by International Criminal Court, who we recognized when we ratified the Rome Statute. And that power does not diminish or is not diminished by the withdrawal of the government from the Rome Statute. To me, it is a duty of the executive branch being the branch in charge of our foreign relations to be able to enforce a warrant issued by a court which we have recognized when we had the Rome Statute ratified.
So do you agree with the point of view of the Solicitor General that Senator Bato is a fugitive?
Yes, I agree. Under the circumstances, if he, the fact that he has not surrendered himself when he has a valid warrant against him, it can be argued that he's a fugitive from justice. Of course, that is subject to final determination with the judiciary.
Okay, just one quick follow-up to that. Why then can the senators, by the grant of protective custody, not be accountable for harboring a fugitive or obstruction of justice?
Well, it is when they issue that protective custody, the Supreme Court has not yet acted on the petition for a issuance of a TRO filed by Senator Bato. Now that that the Supreme Court has refused to issue a TRO, I would strongly advise my friends in the majority, think deeply before you further resist or provide assistance to Senator Bato, given what the Supreme Court has ruled that the warrant of arrest can be validly served.
And Senator, I want to go back to what you said, that Malacanang is lost right now. But the Supreme Court, like you said, has actually issued a TRO already, and that has, I suppose, sent a signal also. In your estimation, based on the events that has happened, the damage to the Senate's reputation, what should Malacanang's line be now to the DOJ? Because the DOJ is still on a waiting game. They're still waiting for the main issues to be resolved by the Supreme Court. Do you think it's more prudent to wait for that to be addressed, or for them to just go ahead, give the order to arrest Senator Bato?
There is basis to serve the warrant. The Supreme Court has refused to issue the TRO. That means the power to execute our laws in the form of having the warrant served rests in Malacanang and in the executive. It is their duty under our system of government to execute the warrant, especially that this warrant is by virtue of a treaty that we have ratified. So to me, it is it is now the duty of the executive branch, particularly Malacanang, to have the writ enforced.
And if they don't issue that order to arrest him, even if the SC has not fully issued their decision yet on the main items of that pleading, what message does it give the public?
Well, that they will just confirm that the administration now is a lame duck, and will be the target of attacks for being a weak presidency.
The buck stops with the president, right, Senator?
The buck stops with the president, and therefore he must execute the law. You know, for a change, naman, let us have a rule of law be the guiding principle. You know, in my humble opinion, the reason why we are in this state of disarray today is because of the culture of impunity that is now prevailing in our country. Nobody is afraid to violate the law because nobody gets punished. That's what even the flood control scandal. How can you rationalize the fact that hundreds of billions of pesos are lost to corruption? Why are they so bold? It is because there is impunity, a feeling of impunity, especially if you are in a position of power, you are above the law. And to me, that issue must be changed, or that culture must be changed, starting with the Supreme Court and the executive branch. They must enforce the law and uphold the rule of law as the basis of our conduct in our Philippine society.
Well, Senator, what the DOJ has issued so far is a mere ILBO, or an Immigration Lookout Bulletin Order for Senator Dela Rosa. But now, as you mentioned, that he can be considered a fugitive from justice, do you think the government can now order a formal manhunt for Senator Dela Rosa?
Yes, there can be a manhunt to serve the warrant. I don't see any other way to do it. And if they don't, then, they just validate the perception na mahina na itong gobyernong ito and it's already a political lame duck.
But are there still legal remedies available for Senator Bato de la Rosa here?
Well, he can continue to pursue the case in the Supreme Court. It's just that the court did not issue the TRO, but the case on the merits is still there. You ask me what remedy he has, continue to pursue that because that's how our system works. The conflict between anyone can go to the Supreme Court and seek relief, judicial relief for what he believes are not right. So he can continue pursuing his rights under in the Supreme Court. On the other hand, the executive branch, in order to restore the confidence of our people in the ability of the president to enforce the law, he should serve the warrant. Look for Bato, serve the warrant.
To get, Senator, your thoughts on RA 9851 and the matter that is the gray area that everyone's fighting over basically right now, which is the domestic enforcement of that warrant, right? We saw some miscommunications. It was the NBI and the DOJ, the DILG. We're not sure who is going to do it. Do you think that needs to be clarified ASAP by the Supreme Court or no need na?
The Supreme Court now has the opportunity to clarify it on the basis of the petition filed by Senator Bato. Having said that, until the Supreme Court issues a TRO, it is the duty of the executive branch under our Constitution and under our system of government to enforce the warrant of arrest. And let the courts, the judiciary, resolve the conflict between Senator Bato and the executive department. Again, unless restrained by the Supreme Court, the executive department should pursue its constitutional duty to enforce our laws.
The current instructions are to stand down.
Ano ibig sabihin ng stand down? Not to...
Yes. Not to arrest.
Kaya nga, that is why we are in this impunity state, because the rule of law becomes secondary and optional. It should not be.
Now, what about Senator Robin Padilla, who was already shown in a CCTV video to be accompanying Senator Bato de la Rosa? Does that not obstruction of justice and harboring a fugitive apply to him by that act of escorting him out in the wee hours of the morning from the Senate?
I'm not prepared to go that far, but certainly that act is reprehensible politically, and the senator should explain to the public what he did, why he did this. Hindi po ito. People look up to Senator Padilla as a senator of the land, and for Senator Padilla to be seen escorting Senator Bato, who is the subject of a warrant of arrest by an international court, is something that he should explain to the people.
Senator, right now the senators are in caucus discussing the events that transpired recently, and they hope by Monday to be tackling this incident, the shooting incident on Monday, should they come clean on what really transpired? Because it appears that some of them were following a certain script.
You know, Tess, if I were the executive branch, I will treat this as a violation of our laws, and therefore investigate it and punish those who violated our laws. You know, the fact that it happened in the Senate makes it more imperative that we must impose corrective measures. We must punish those who are guilty of this. And I would strongly suggest that we leave it to our police officers, to our law enforcement officers, to investigate the crime committed, discharging a firearm, putting lives of people in danger. There are laws violated, and treat this as enforcement of the rule of law. You know, I do not know. Okay, of course, the Senate can conduct its own investigation, but certainly this is a matter that the law enforcement should investigate and see who violated the law and file the appropriate charges.
Okay, hopefully this investigation will lead somewhere because, as you said, even the flood control scandal, wala pa ring nangyayari. And if we can go to Zaldico, he seems to be out of reach of the government.
He should not be. The government is a sovereign government. He has relations with other countries, and they should continuously, the government should continuously look for Zaldico, employ diplomatic and bilateral agreements or relations with the other countries in order to bring Zaldico back to our jurisdiction. You know, having said that, says, when I was Secretary of Justice, we did not have yet an extradition treaty with the United States. There were occasions when a criminal facing charges in U.S. courts would come to the Philippines, somehow get into the country, and escape the jurisdiction of American courts. The American embassy would make a request. And tell us that they have canceled the passport of this particular guy, and if since he's now an undocumented alien, under our obligations in international treaties, if we can deport him to the port where he came from, and we do that. So there are remedies available. There are remedies.
So we should go to the French government and make the same plea.
Yes, I'm sure that you know, our position as a sovereign country will be respected by other states because these are you know, this is how it works internationally. The relation between, assuming he is in Paris or in France, there are diplomatic ways by which we can diplomatic measures which we can invoke to help us bring Zaldico back. You know, the Department of Foreign Affairs should take the lead role here. They know how to do it under our treaty obligations and under the treaty obligations of other countries.
Having said that, Senator, do you feel like, because a lot of people have this sentiment, do you feel that the national government is not exerting enough effort to capture Zaldico because of what he might say when we actually repatriate him back here?
I don't want to come to that conclusion. All I know is what I see. I have not seen any effort to bring back Zaldico here. Maybe there are, but they're not known publicly. But as we talk, I am not made aware of any effort on the part of the Philippine government to bring back Zaldico through the diplomatic channels.
Well, Earlier, Senator, we were asking you on how can the Senate fix its reputation after the recent events? Can they actually use the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte to prove and redeem their reputation and prove that they are after accountability?
Certainly. Certainly, the impeachment trial is one way by which their credibility can be restored. Remember that the entire country is watching the impeachment trial. Remember that in the case of I think, of Arab, when if people thought that the impeachment court was hiding the truth and preventing the truth from coming out, we went out to the street on the streets, and the rest is history. So, the people are watching the impeachment trial and see if the mandate of the impeachment court to exact accountability on the basis of evidence is being fulfilled. And I don't want to predict what will happen if the people feel otherwise. We have seen it happen in the past. The second envelope cost Edzatos, if you recall correctly, if you recall our history. In the case of Corona, it was the public opinion turned against the Chief Justice when the matter of his bank accounts were made public. So these are events which can either put the institution down or make it recover the esteem and the prestige and the confidence that the people should have in a democratic institution, which is the Senate.
Lastly, Senator, have senators approached you for counsel?
No, they have not. They have not approached me. They have their own mandate, and they are friends. But certainly, they make their own independent judgment of how to handle this very difficult situation that the Senate is in today. I have not seen a Senate as troubled as I see today.
Well, as always, we value your insights. Thank you very much for talking to us, former Senator Frank Drilon. And you are still watching the Big Story on One News. Still ahead, Senator Robin Padilla explains the CCTV footage of him leaving with Bato, Dela Rosa hours after the shooting incident at the upper chamber. We have details next. Stay tuned. Big Story is back with more CCTV footage from the May 13 Senate shooting incident. One revealed Senator Robin Padilla leaving with colleague Bato Dela Rosa a few hours after the chaos. Then the Senate Sergeant-at-Arms is now disputing clips showing him firing his gun at will. This report from Mobile Journal Merimon Reyes.
This CCTV footage timestamped 2:31 a.m. of May 13 shows Senator Robin Padilla at the parking area of the Senate. He even saluted to some men on his way out. Following the lawmaker is what looks like a woman, and then Senator Bato Dela Rosa wearing a hat, or so authorities believe. All three boarded Padilla's white SUV and drove off. This was among the footage recently publicized by the Interior Department. On Wednesday, May 20, exactly a week after the shooting incident at the upper chamber, there's Senator Padilla on the sidelines of plenary session. But there's no more Dela Rosa, who since May 14 has not been heard from again. Padilla says he does not know where his friend and fellow Duterte ally is. But when asked if he left with Bato on the wee hours of the morning Thursday last week, Robin Hood had this to say.
Ano ba kailangan sabihin ko doon? Nakita nyo na.
Nung lumabas po siya sa Senado.
Hindi naman AI yun, di ba?
Sir, saan kayo pumunta after?
Maraming salamat sa inyo. Nakuha nyo na yung gusto ninyo, napanood nyo na. Palagay ko naman siguro makatahimik na kayo. Lahat yun ang tinatanong nyo. Naganap na yung investigasyon.
For now, the PNP's Criminal Investigation and Detection Group or CIDG declined to comment, but it did send subpoenas to Senate Sergeant-at-Arms Mau Aplaska and 10 of his personnel, and even recommended the filing of appropriate charges against them before the Justice Department. In particular, according to the CIDG, Aplaska and his team violated the rules of engagement under the Private Security Services Industry Act during the Senate's shooting incident on the evening of May 13.
Very clear naman po sa investigation natin na there was no attack sa Senate. Wala pong intent. In fact, if there is really a perceived na attack na ongoing, we can ask the same OSAA, bakit nila inabandon yung lugar after na magkaroon ng shooting. The most responsible thing to do is to talk first before draw your firearm. If there's a problem, let us talk first. If there is a question, let us, I have to ask you first. You have to explain your side first.
The CIDG went on, warning shots just like what Aplaska earlier admitted to making have long been prohibited, especially in crowded places such as Metro Manila. The PNP group also insisted that the NBI did not violate any rule when they stationed themselves in the GSIS compound, adjacent to part of the Senate complex.
The Senate, including the Senate security, has full access to sa CCTV. So they will know kung meron na po bang mga are they preparing for an assault? Do they have breaching equipment? May mga ladder po ba? May mga explosive or anything?
After all is said and done, the CIDG is giving Aplaska to explain his decisions on the fateful night of May 13.
Who fed him the wrong information na aatakihin tayo? Even the media who were there were agitated. From the very start, doon parang sa ground floor nung may nag-drill. And who was remiss doon sa duty nila to verify from their counterpart kung ano ba talaga nangyayari sa other side of GSIS.
Members of the Senate legal team have already assured full cooperation in the CIDG investigation. As of press time, Aplaska or any member of the Office of the Senate Sergeant-at-Arms have not turned up at Camp Crame. Instead, Aplaska faced the media, maintaining that details already publicly presented by law enforcement agencies do not paint a total picture.
We are preparing the complete videos. Kasi what they did, they spliced the videos and they just selected the videos that will support their narrative.
What type of narrative are you saying?
Yung sabi nila walang attack.
But the DILG was quick to contradict Aplaska.
No, not at all. We may timestamp naman lahat eh. So it couldn't have been spliced. Those were direct from CCTV cameras of the Senate, their servers.
Kapatid mobile journalist Mary Monreyes, we are One News.
The camp of Vice President Sara Duterte has received a writ of summons from the Senate Impeachment Court. The OVP confirmed receipt of the document at 10:40 this morning, personally delivered by Senate Sergeant-at-Arms OIC Manuel Parlade. It contains the articles of impeachment and annexes of evidence spanning 1,000 pages. Duterte has 10 calendar days to respond, and since the 10th day falls on a Saturday, Senate President Alan Peter Cayetano has set the deadline on the next working day, which is on June 1, Monday. Cayetano is the impeachment court's presiding officer. House prosecutors will then have 5 days to react in writing to the VP's reply. House Prosecutor Terry Redon says they are not discounting the possibility that Duterte will question the impeachment again before the Supreme Court.
Our expectation is it will be more substantial than what had been submitted before. No, kasi in the previous answer po to the House Committee on Justice, it was basically just a very short response to all of the allegations. So hindi ho talaga point per point. No? But our expectation now is they will still be raising jurisdictional and constitutional questions, which they actually did the last time. But also they will have to, they will probably answer point per point, no? Yung pong articles of impeachment already, only because this is the last opportunity for the Vice President to actually answer all of the allegations.
Today, prosecutors listened to Akbayan Congressman Shell Diokno discussing the rules of procedure and evidence. Diokno served as a private prosecutor in the impeachment trial of President Joseph Estrada back in 2000 and 2001. Meantime, Congressman Ridon is confident that the 4 articles of impeachment will muster the necessary 2/3 vote from senator judges and secure the vice president's conviction.
The evidence will speak for itself. On each and every ground naman po, we have high certainty that we can get a conviction, at the very least 16 votes. No? Lahat po ng grounds na pinasa po sa Senate Impeachment Court, mabigat po yun at enough to convict the Vice President.
And in other news, health officials are racing to contain a fast-spreading Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo, or DRC. The World Health Organization said there are already over 500 suspected cases and 130 deaths. WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus has declared the Ebola outbreak as a global health emergency and warned about its alarming scale and speed of spread. The outbreak is caused by the rare Bundibugyo strain. There is currently no vaccine or treatment available. The outbreak is centered in the conflict-torn Ituri province, but has since crossed borders into Uganda and other DRC provinces. Dr. Ann Ansia, the WHO representative in the Congo, says it will take at least 2 months to roll out any potential candidate vaccines.
We are also at the international level looking at what candidate vaccines or treatment are available and if any could be of use in this outbreak. There is this afternoon a WHO technical advisory group that will meet to provide further recommendation to WHO and its member states on which potential vaccine should be prioritized. Erbevo is one of the potential vaccine that is looked for eventually be able to come and bring additional prevention and protection among the communities here. Yes, it is. But what I know is actually it would take what I know from WHO, it would take 2 months for it to be available.
Back here in the Philippines, the Department of Health is set to release updated protocols amid the spread of the Ebola virus in Africa. According to DOH Secretary Ted Herbosa, the protocols will focus on tightening surveillance on aircraft and vessels arriving from the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda. The DOH also assured that personnel have been deployed to monitor Philippine borders. Several nations have already set up quarantine centers. In Hong Kong, authorities are preparing a quarantine facility on Lantau Island.
And now let's end the show on a positive note. We really need that today. We take you to the newly opened EV hub in Quezon City, which features a range of fully electric commercial vehicles. This is just one of many efforts to support fleet operators and businesses transitioning to more eco-friendly transport. Mobile Journal Ivan Tarinque tells us more.
From cargo vans, pickup and light-duty trucks to buses and tractor heads, various fully electric commercial vehicles are now on display at the new Photon EV Hub along A. Bonifacio Avenue in Balintawak, Quezon City. Photon reopened its A. Bonifacio dealership but with a new role, serving as its flagship EV hub dedicated to commercial vehicles. Part of its EV ecosystem are charging stations, spare parts availability, technical support, and after-sales services for fleet operators and businesses. The nearly 2,000 square meter facility features an EV showroom and service area that can accommodate up to 10 to 15 vehicles for maintenance and repairs.
Recently, we've experienced an increase in the growth of acceptance from business owners to they're willing to try and use electric vehicles in their businesses.
The launch also comes as the government continues to push for wider EV adoption in both public and private transport sectors. According to the Department of Energy, the government has increased its target for electric vehicle fleet adoption from 5% to 10% as part of its transition toward electric mobility. Unlike most commercial vehicles that rely on diesel engines, fully electric units could help cut emissions while supporting the country's electric vehicle roadmap.
It will definitely reduce the emissions or improve the environment, particularly because this is particularly kung 100%
electric vehicle ka, walang emission yan.
As interest in electric vehicles continue to grow, some businesses are also looking at the potential savings from lower fuel and maintenance costs. Electric vehicles require less maintenance due to few moving parts compared to traditional internal combustion engine vehicles.
It's cleaner for our environment. Two is the cost. Yes, initially maybe an electric vehicle would cost more, but in the long run, you actually get more savings with an electric vehicle compared to an internal combustion engine.
With the opening of this EV hub, electric mobility continues to expand not only for private vehicles, but also into the transportation, logistics, and business sectors that rely on commercial fleets. Kapatid Mobile Journal Ivan Tarinque, we are One News.
Imagine an EDSA without fumes.
Right. When will that day come?
Well, it could happen soon with all the EVs already.
I know. Now I'm FOMO.
Okay, and that's it for the big story this midweek. Thank you so much for watching.
We're back here tomorrow at 8 p.m. We'll see you then.
Kapatid, we are One News, all sides, all the time. Have a good night.